When did the Atlantic slave trade end? When we think about the Atlantic slave trade, it is important to understand its timeline and impact on European history, especially regarding the rise and fall of empires. So, when did this trade actually come to an end? The Atlantic slave trade involved the forced movement of millions of Africans to the Americas, and it is generally recognized to have ended in the 19th century. However, the exact dates can differ based on the country and how strictly abolition laws were enforced. The British Empire played a significant role in this trade. In 1807, the British Parliament passed the Slave Trade Act, which made it illegal for British subjects to participate in the trade of enslaved people. This law marked the official end of British involvement in the transatlantic slave trade. However, it is essential to note that this act did not abolish slavery itself in British colonies. After 1807, nearly 750,000 enslaved individuals remained in British Caribbean colonies. The complete abolition of slavery in British territories came later with the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833. Even after the legal bans were in place, illegal slave trading continued for several decades. Initially, it was thought that the transatlantic slave trade ended around 1867, but records show that voyages transporting enslaved Africans occurred as late as 1873. This indicates that while laws against the trade existed, enforcement was inconsistent and smuggling persisted. Looking at the broader European context, other nations like Portugal, Spain, France, the Netherlands, and Denmark were also involved in the slave trade. Portugal was one of the earliest and largest participants. The trade lasted roughly for 100 years, from the late 15th century into the 19th century, with millions of Africans forcibly transported across the Atlantic. The abolition of the Atlantic slave trade was a gradual process influenced by various factors, including moral, economic, and political considerations. In Britain, abolitionist movements gained momentum, with key figures like William Wilberforce and activists such as Olaudah Equiano advocating for the end of the trade. Their arguments combined humanitarian concerns with economic reasoning, suggesting that ending the trade would save lives and create new markets for British goods. In summary, the Atlantic slave trade officially ended at different times across European empires. The British Empire abolished its participation in 1807, while other nations followed suit throughout the 19th century. Illegal trading continued sporadically until the early 1870s. The end of the trade marked a significant shift in European economic and colonial practices, although the legacy of the trade and slavery itself continued to impact societies long after the laws were enacted.